everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. We are back, and I am joined, as always, by.
Organized Zero. Woo!
So, this week, we going to try, maybe not every week, but we're going to try going back and reviewing episodes of different shows that we have enjoyed in the past. And it was suggested to go back and look at an anime called Death Parade. Now, I had a vague familiarity with Death Parade, basically just because my friend would have the theme song in his Spotify rotation. So we
Oh yeah.
go on road trips, and I'd hear that song, and I'd be like, "What is that from?" "Oh, it's from this show." Like, neat. And never watched it. And I watched the first two episodes. Okay, so I'm just gonna hand this over.
So I've always told people that those who have a vague understanding of anime haven't watched a lot of it. One thing that people will tell you is that that Neon Genesis Evangelion has like one of the biggest whiplashes from what their theme song opening is to what the actual anime is about. I would argue that this show has a worse one.
Oh yeah,
Because when I first watched it, I knew legitimately nothing about it other than the intro was a banger, and I heard it. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching it, and it's starting off and going, "What in the actual shit am I watching compared to what this intro is?" But yeah. So you get in, and you're introduced to Decim and the Quindecim in this area going on of where all this is
explain
happening.
what that is for someone else
For
who.
you find it out by the end of the first episode, so I suppose I could say it. The Quindecim, or I guess this area that the Quindecim is in, is basically the afterlife. Not quite. It's basically the eternal waiting room,
Yeah.
as like what you would call as purgatory, where you go into and you're kind of sorting hatted into different bartenders' rooms. You only got to meet one of them, and that was Quindecim. And you essentially are tested through a series of bar games to
Yeah.
find out if whether or not you're a good person. The big kicker is though is that when you're in there, you are not told that you're dead. Because for obvious reasons, they think you're going to act as your true self if you don't think you're dead. If you think you're dead, you're not going to act in the way you normally would, so they're not going to get an accurate reading of who and how you are as a person. And the I think like Regent, I can't remember exactly what Quindecim was called or Decim was called at the top of my head, doesn't get to know your full story. They get basically sent a kaleidoscope of your memories, and then they just kind of go off and hit buttons from there to kind of figure out what you got to do. In this first episode, oh, by the way, also for anyone wondering, I didn't know this until after I watched the show. This is completely made up. They did not base this off a manga or nothing. This was just made for an anime. There was no actual uh, like source material. Uh, so this very first one, we get to find out this couple that the last thing they remember is they were on vacation, and they go in. They're going through all this, and they're a little paranoidish, but they're genuinely okay. Then they find out that they're going to be shooting darts. When you got in here, what were you thinking up until the point of like, hey, let's play some bar games?
I didn't really know what to think. Like, I thought I knew there'd have to be some sort of like, it's called Death Parade. So I didn't think it was going to be exactly that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean exactly like bar games. I didn't think this was going to be a lighthearted romp of here's some games and some shenanigans. I didn't think that. I'm like, okay, it's called Death Parade. Somebody's going to die doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Something. There's a there's going to be a big holy shit kind of deal coming, and I wasn't
Oh yeah.
mistaken in that first episode,
No.
but it was just weird. Like when it came around, it's like okay, like it all makes sense. I guess you'd say like the idea is fine, but it was just weird, man.
Oh
It was
yeah.
weird.
This is one of the animes where it's like, yeah, this is written by Japanese people. Like it's a very and it's one of those things where you start getting into like one thing that makes me love a show, like I need to like the premise. And a lot of animes where it's like shonen, where it's like, let's go fight the bad guys, and you're gonna find out throughout the story whether you liked it or not, because you can put two and two together. Hero, bad guy. They fight things, they go, they do whatever. This is one of those where no, you're getting the basis of what the show is, and then you're figuring out whether you like it through there. I was immediately intrigued throughout it all because again, seeing Death Parade and them singing show tunes, swinging off chandeliers, and now they're gonna go play darts. And like, why are you questioning my life choices? And uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, uh, as they were going through this, how do I want to question this? As we were watching this episode, what
So
way
the
were
thing like that shocked me is like they're like, all right, we'll play darts, and then it turns out that the dart, like wherever they hit the dart, will hurt because it's a married couple.
it's a married couple? Yes,
So like wherever they like, if they get a hit with the dart, it causes pain to
pain the other person's body region.
yeah, like that's kind of I can't remember if it's like knowingly represented or you don't know
It
what body part it would be when you hit.
it looks like organs when they're up there, and like once you hit it, like you can tell genuinely, like there's parts of like an intestine you can see wrapped up and
Yeah.
stuff. While you were watching this, before it got to the end, and I'll ask you at the end, what way were you swinging for how you felt the events of their backstory was actually happening?
I mean, I thought Vince Russo wrote it because it was like, oh, here's this swerve, bro. It's this way. Oh, wait, we remember the swerve, bro. It's actually back to swerve, bro. It's back to this way. And then, as we'll get into later, there's another swerve, bro. Before it's that you learn, you know, and it's all said and done. But like, it was really. I'm not saying that it was as bad as a typical Vince Russo
No, you
production.
didn't have anyone's mom on a forklift.
No, we didn't have that, and David Arquette didn't just randomly come in. But like on one hand, like it's creative
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna go on a roller coaster ride, and that's cool. But at the same time, there came a point where I'm like, enough is enough.
Okay.
Like fucking stick one way. Like we don't like I get it, but fucking cut it off after you've done 4 of these already. Cut it off now. Cut it off before then.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
I mean, and as the episode progressed, you're on that roller coaster ride, and then at the very end of episode 1,
Yes, of episode one.
I was on the husband side because the events of what the wife literally said to
Said
her
happened.
husband
Yes.
before the end of it. You're like, why wouldn't you be on the husband's side? And then you watch episode 2, and then you're like, swerve, bro, again. I'm like, for fuck's sake, people.
Like son of a bitch. That was the first thing that my
And then I'm like, well, what the fuck? Then why didn't you do it that way? Like that was dumb. Like I was on board. I guess it wasn't episode 1, but it was like by the end of episode 2, that last final swerve was just like, then, but why did you? That's fuck you, no. And I guess that's the feeling they wanted, to their
yeah,
credit.
it is.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if like You can say that I'm not not you, but
No.
somebody could say, well, I'm not sophisticated enough or don't have the emotional range or whatever, but just kind of like, you know, there's a time where overkill's a thing.
Yeah, it is one thing where with the show in general, it's a lot of slow unraveling. It's a lot of kind of figuring out snap judgments, and it's supposed to be like you said, the swerves and everything like that, because you're giving basically in half an hour to decide, and what we find out at the end of this episode of the first one, whether this person goes into the abyss or just gets reincarnated. So it's trying to put the person through the metal of being like, we're slipping you as little as humanly possible to see how an actual human can react in judgment, because if you knew everything right away, certain things would go otherwise. I've seen
And
certain
I
people react to that better, and some people react worse to that.
and I get, for context, um, spoiler, but if you want to watch it and not be spoiled,
Yes.
I'm not going to gatekeep our show,
No.
but I'm going to also
No.
say that if you want to watch this series and not be spoiled, you should probably go click on another video right now.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but like the first part of it, they kind of don't realize what happened, and they realize that there was an accident, and then the man remembers hearing her friends kind of talking shit during the wedding, and then that leads him to believe that he was getting married for his money, but like they remember something else where the husband's like kind of a shitty guy. And then, you have like several more of these as more things unravel. And then at the very end of it seems at the very end of episode
One.
one, the
Yes.
wife like seems like she has a manic episode and then just goes, yes, you're stupid, and why would anyone want to marry a piece of shit like you? I did marry you for your money, I was gold digging, you're garbage, and fuck you.
Yep.
And if the swerves would have ended there, not like in any like I wanted to be on the man's side kind of fucking
Yeah.
toxic bullshit, but like if it would have just the story would have just ended there where it's like, okay, this particular person
Mm-hmm.
kind of was an awful person, so they were condemned to the abyss. Whereas the other person, maybe not a good person, but not as bad as that other one, that person got reincarnated. Like okay, like hey, we're here. The games will bring the true feelings out eventually, and the wife's true feelings came out over the course of these very, very painful and awful games. But then episode 2 comes around, and it's basically like two people watching the other, not people, but, watching
Yes.
the
The
other guy
adjudicators.
and adjudicators, yes,
Yes.
watching him make his decision
Mm-hmm.
and then finding out that she just, you know, be it to save her husband or, I'm not even, there's no or, like just to save her husband,
Yeah.
lied about all of that. And the other adjudicator couldn't see it, so he sent the wrong person into the abyss. And I'm just like, that was an unnecessary swerve. That part was unnecessary. I'm not trying to fantasy book this, but when I get swerved a lot, I guess that's just where my mind goes. But if it would have been instead of actually she was the good person lying about that, and then she went to the abyss, and the shitty person got reincarnated, if it would have resulted in they both should have gone into the abyss, I could have been okay with that. Like if that would have been like
Mm-hmm.
the last like little like, oh, you didn't realize he was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
He was garbage too, so you reincarnated a bad person. And that would have been the lesson he would have learned. I'd have been okay with that.
Okay.
Or I would have felt more settled, which probably is not the vibe that the
Yeah.
create writers were going for, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
digress.
Yeah.
Um, but it just like that part kind of felt like, again, like I can get it, and there's people that like that sort of thing,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying it's bad. Just that was kind of my like, okay, you know,
There is one
Mr.
detail.
Russo, you did one too many.
There is one detail in this that you don't. When did they drop that? That you don't find out about Deckham. That there's one tiny crucial detail about him as an adjudicator. That why they're, I guess, testing him differently in how he reads things and giving him different situations than others. And they find it out later. Like Nona, the smaller girl that was in there with the girl who doesn't have name right now, who was walking around later in there, that she specifically picked him, and she's this entire show is her doing a test with him different than all the other adjudicators because she believes there's an honest to god problem with how the adjudicators work in the place where they are. You find out what that thing is later on. It's a very simple and understanding thing, and it's what makes it kind of rethink a bunch of stuff that goes on later. And she has this girl, again, whatever name, in case we come back and finish this because it's not super long. So it's spoiling it's basically giving you half the show when they find this out. That
Right.
she gives it with him because she's trying to basically see how you properly judge someone, because you'll find out with a lot of the other adjudicators is that they don't give a shit. It's, oh, I saw part of your memories is that you hit your wife once. You're an abusing dickhead. You're going down. Like, they don't, like, even remotely give the person a chance sometimes after a while. And the girl who's with him will now be speaking up before the harsh judgments in these future episodes so that moments like that don't happen. So you get to, they're the only adjudicator that is a pair,
Mm.
and it's for that exact purpose because she has, I guess it's not a spoiler, she's the only one to go into the I don't remember if they give the entire place as a whole a name or not, to go in knowing she died, so she could not be judged properly. She couldn't partake in the games because she knew she was dead when she got there.
Gotcha. I know. I will say this much: like in episode one, there's a time where both the husband and the wife realize they're dead,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, if I realize I'm dead, I've got a bar and I've got music. Leave me alone. This is how, like,
Excuse me.
what, play a game that I might not be good at that might damn my soul forever? No, thank you. I'm just going to stay here at the bar. It's going to get old after a while, but that's better than risking damnation.
And
That was
there,
kind of like where my head went eventually. It's like, just stay and get some, order some drinks, and play on the chandeliers, and listen to some swing music, and that's not that ain't heaven to me, but it's definitely not hell.
it's not. And you see one or at least one set of people that gets down there. It's always a pair of two. They get sent down there and very much just waits for stuff to start, but after a while they kind of just like, by the way, you need to go because there's a harsh time limit because there's like a guy above Nona that
God, okay,
like
I didn't know that. I haven't gotten to that part
like
yet.
that makes you kind
So
of
that's
kick the
that's
gears
where they
in.
make it to where you're like, yeah, you can't just sit here and hang out for
You
all of
can't.
eternity.
They give some of them that like they figure out that like they have to do this thing that's life or death, and they're like, "What do you mean we're gonna die? Whatever." And then they sit there and they talk for a while. Like what? There's one later on that like thinks they're on a hidden camera reality TV show and like goes in and starts checking the bathrooms and other things, and it's like everyone has their own reaction, but once the actual game itself starts, then they like put you on a hard timer.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And other people aren't exactly like kicked clean out the door right away either, but that is another way that like as Deckham goes further along, he figures out how to manage things. like some that get genuine happy endings kind of figure out what they were to each other and get a chance to actually do stuff they didn't get to do while they were alive.
Gotcha. So it's
So,
not all just,
no.
oh, he's kind of a dickhead. Oh, but she's a gold digger. Oh, but he's an
No.
abuser. Oh, but she said she's a gold digger. Oh, but she wasn't.
No. No, it's not all like that. Like if I'm remembering correctly, like the very next one is an unbelievably sweet tale of two people that knew each other when they were kids.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, it's not all
So it's not
completely like
all like
that.
just
No.
depressing.
No.
Okay. So I'm a little more open minded than I was, at the beginning
No.
of this recording.
No. No, some are like childhood friends that how they're connected and how it goes, you don't know. One's a murder mystery, one's a like stuck up celebrity and a guy who knew her for a purpose. There's all different situations, but then like towards the ass end, it becomes figuring out how to deal with girl with no name and her proper judgment toward the end.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, it's one of those things where when my friend that I watched it with, after I watched it myself, immediately when that final switch hits and girl, who we'll just call her, goes, "Well, don't you think that she said that on purpose to do this?" My buddy went, "I knew that was fucking weird that she acted like that. Did you feel that way when she was at the end, like that was out of nowhere and then leave later on, or did you believe that she kind of had an attack of just like, I'm sorry, I have to admit this?"
I so and just given the subject matter, this isn't gonna make me look favorable.
Oh,
But
everyone looks at it differently. I've heard thousands of different responses to this, so don't worry.
the 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 way the way I interpreted episode one,
Yep.
and maybe I just didn't see much, maybe just like that much below surface level, but
Okay.
maybe I saw nothing below the surface level. I thought that just eventually the idea of harming, like the dart game,
Yep.
you hit a dart and like, oh, that hurt my wife's chest, that hurt
Mm-hmm.
my husband's eyes, like all these different things happening. Like you saw, like her husband was being calm and understanding until he kind of like was getting hurt, and then that's when you're like, oh, he's being a dick now. He's kind of showing more that he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, when she goes on that rant of, I did marry you for your money, you're a moron, I hate you, kind of thing. I thought that was like the crescendo of, okay, she's been like, the whole point of all these games are going to hurt people is eventually the true you comes out, which I guess it
Yes.
does,
Yeah.
but I didn't see below surface level. I thought it was just, okay,
Okay.
she finally went through enough pain and probably the mental torment that all of that, was taking, to where she finally just snapped and, you know,
Yeah.
showed that she was an awful person. My thoughts after episode one.
Yeah.
Uh, and then judgment happened, and it's like, okay, like I get, okay, yeah, she was, from what I saw
Yes.
and saw
Absolutely.
her
Yes.
do that,
Yes.
I thought it was okay. Well, she was a user, and it came out when she finally couldn't take any more physical, which probably led to psychological pain. And then the second episode happens, and you're like, well, motherfuck. She just said that so that way she could be condemned and
Yeah.
make her husband possibly be able to,
Yeah.
be reincarnated. And you're like, well, fuck my life then.
Yeah.
Like
Everybody
now I'm
seems.
pissed off because
Yeah.
that that guy either should have been condemned, or at the very least she shouldn't have been.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of those things where and it's making you irritated, and I get that 100%, and I feel like it's meant to partially get that out of people. A giant part of this is, I guess, learning how to properly understand, I guess, human actions and judging someone based on what they do. And they put you through several situations in this going on, like one of them's bowling, one of them's like an actual arcade fighting game, and other things like that. But and you having this reaction of like how you felt towards it is 1,000,000,000% different than the guy who I watched it with, my buddy here, that was like, oh yeah, I thought that was weird at first. I really didn't think I knew she was lying. So it's all human, just how you look at things. For you can only do so much without the details that you don't know. So yeah, it's, and again, once you learn a definingly different thing that Deckham is than all the other people, it learns you to figure out why he acts differently.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's not a thing that is for everyone, but typically the people that really get into it, like really get into it.
It's
One,
a show. It's a show, and like especially after having this conversation, it is definitely a show you got to be in a mood to watch.
oh yes, 100%.
I could put on Dragon Dragon Ball Z at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Or and like even like some of the animes where something like Full Metal Alchemist, where like you gotta be in a certain headspace to watch Metal, cause especially if you've seen it before and okay, Hughes is gonna die. Oh, this dad's gonna fucking turn his daughter and her dog into a fucking
Chimera.
monstrosity.
Yes.
Like there's like a horror movie in some ways.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be ready to deal with some of that, or like
Oh yeah.
um, Cowboy Bebop. You're like, it's a tragic show. You gotta kind of be in an appropriate headspace to be able to process these things. Like even something like Dark Knight, you got to
Yep.
be like in there's a lot of shows you have to be in a certain mood, but Death Parade is like they're like on another planet of you got to be in a certain type of a very specific type of mood
Mm-hmm.
to watch this show.
Yeah, it is one. It's a thing that I like to tell people, that it's not what I kind of like call a chores anime, where it's like, oh, I just need some white noise to put on in the background. This is like, no, I have to
Yeah.
actually be like paying attention to what the fuck they're saying, because this is very detail oriented, and this is like meaningful talking points they're getting through here, to where like you're washing the dishes. What did they say? Oh,
Yeah.
he's cheating. He's cheating on his wife. I thought he wasn't. The friend is there. Like, yeah, it's one of those, you have to get in the correct way. And like when I first watched this, I am very much a binger for certain
Mhm.
stuff. And when this started, I had like nothing going on, and I was a pretty even keeled. Like I had just gotten on like a slight vacation from work. My head was leveled with certain else, and then like the, I want to say, overall subject flow, or I like guess plot hooks of the show really like dug into that specific part of my brain that felt really good when you scratched it. And I'm like, I'm okay. Didn't know a damn thing about this when I started, but I'm liking it. Watched like the first 8 episodes in a row. And then the next day, I was kind of like, okay, I need to sleep for a day, and then like finish it a day later because I was still processing
Mhm.
all of that. But yeah, it's one of those that toward the end is like, you find out it's okay to cry after a while. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm a crier.
I
And
can be. But I
I.
cry at weird shit. Like I cried when I was on the front stretch of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway,
Oh, yeah.
but I
I get
couldn't.
that.
But like I've seen movies where you're like supposed to cry, and I'm like, okay, you know. Or I cried during the Shawshank Redemption, which like, okay, that makes sense. And then like, you know, um, that makes sense. You should cry at that. But then like when Notre Dame beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, I cried because I'd never seen them,
Yeah,
since I was before I started kindergarten, win a game in the postseason that big against that good of a team. You know, so
one hundred
like
percent.
it's kind of like you can get hit like there's sometimes where it's like it makes sense that I cried, and then there's certain times like you cried standing on the front stretch of a racetrack.
Yeah,
Why?
you kind of like can you tell people stuff like that. Like when I told you that like the most visceral cry that I've had in my entire life was when I met Kevin Conroy. And
Mm.
like I tell people like you cried because you met a voice actor. I'm like you don't even get me
Same,
started.
yeah.
Don't even get me started. But yeah, I like to
Like
tell
when
people.
people are like, did you cry at your wedding? No, but I cried when I met Batman.
Yes, exactly. And like I like to tell
And then
people
when I met
like
Shawn Michaels, I didn't cry, but I thought I would cry.
oh
You
absolutely.
know
I've
what I
had that.
mean? Like I was prepared for it. It's like not that he was unpleasant, not that
No.
like quite the contrary, but like I didn't feel like it just didn't.
Yes.
The emotion didn't hit me when of crying when I met Sean like it did when I met Kevin or
Yeah.
when I met Sean Astin. You
Yeah.
know,
The emotional trigger doesn't quite hit you. I tell people I cry a lot more because I essentially grew up in the estrogen ocean with just my mom and two sisters after the divorce, and I'm gonna stick with that until the day I'm dead because I used to not be like this. But like I'm sitting there, like just the simplest like teamwork and stuff gets me to like. Have you ever seen the movie Gridiron Gang
yeah, The Rock, yeah,
with The Rock? Yeah, like the psych out at the coin flip like I had watched that movie when I was in like high school when that came out, and I'm watching it with my nephews last year at like New Year's the night before. And when they're like, "Okay, no, we'll psych him back out," and then the whole team comes out with them for the coin flip, and my like nephew like turned to me, he's like, "Are you crying?" Like, I really like shows of teamwork. Shut up. Camaraderie really gets to me, okay? Yeah, it's
or like I'll do. Yeah, it's like weird. Like it can hit at the weirdest times. Like you know, um, like I'll cry thinking about there. Okay, this is stupid, but I'm gonna give a. Oh, who was? I'll even. I forgot even the guy who made it. I favorited it, but um, Danny B Talks NASCAR
okay.
channel.
Okay.
Um, he does like a video. Like he does a lot of NASCAR videos. If you're interested in motorsports, but particularly NASCAR, he's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he does like a series called Rise and Fall,
Mm-hmm.
where um, he'll take like a race team and he'll talk about like if it's more often not like a defunct one or one that it was called this and then it merged and now that like old part of it's kind of minuscule now or whatever. Um, and he'll talk about like, all right, here it started, like, and sometimes it's like it was all bad, like they never won a race and they didn't qualify for Daytona 2 years in a row, and then sometimes it's like here they were good and then oh there's the fall, like, and it is the roller coaster of it, and I'm wearing his hat right now. Ricky Rudd
Yeah.
is my all-time favorite NASCAR driver, and I just stumbled upon his video, and at one point in time Rudd was what was called an owner driver.
Mm-hmm.
He not only was he the driver, but he owned the team too. And he became an owner driver for a spell, like in '94, like right before I started kindergarten. So like, and not right when I became a fan of NASCAR, but very like very close,
Yeah.
And he had this like montage, and it was a long montage. Everybody in the comments like, "What's up with that long montage?" And he's showing like the clips of every race that he won under his own team. And I remember like just like I was just like fucking like, oh, hey, cool story about my. And I just saw that montage and like I remember just kind of like, are these tears?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Uh,
what just happened?
oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah. It
you know,
happens.
it's like only the closing lap or laps of like five or six different races. And I'm just kind of like watching. I'm just kind of like, because I'm like, oh, I remember that. That was, you know, Phoenix '95. Okay. Oh, I was Rockingham. Oh, okay. This is the Brickyard 400 Indianapolis. Oh man, I remember. Yeah, and that's my head. And then like there I am, like, what is what? So it just hits. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And then
100%.
like, I could watch something that maybe something else, like where it is really emotional. I'm feeling it, but I'm like, oh, that was a sad movie.
Yep.
What's for dinner? Like, oh, I
Yeah.
still feel it, but I'm like, well, so where are we going to eat tonight? You know?
Yep. Didn't hit you just right. No. Oh,
Yeah.
I get you on that. And it's one of those things where you hit the emotion in other spots. Like I cried once or twice throughout the show, and then my buddy didn't until the very like ending revealed. Like 3 minutes of the show, he was gone. Just ball. I look over and like, oh shit. He's like, that was really good. Like, okay, you didn't say anything for like the past 10 minutes, and I wasn't looking at you. I didn't see you crying.
I
But
guess to kind of peel back the
yeah,
curtain and kind of put a wrap on this episode.
yes.
When we talked about doing a series like this, I remember, we kind of said, we'll do the first two episodes first,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just to make sure we have enough content, or we'll,
Yes.
and if the just talking about episode one would have, made for a decently length podcast, we would have held off on episode two, whatever. The day that I finally sat down to watch it,
Okay.
I remember kind of thinking like, I was wife was with her family. Like, okay, I got, I'm gonna watch as much of this as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I can get the whole series watched and whatever we can, you know, hey, there's, you know,
Yeah.
potentially however many episodes. Like this would be
Yeah.
great. And then like
Yeah.
right after number two ended, I'm like, I need a break from this.
Yep.
Not like in a bad way, but like
It's a draining.
yeah, I'm like, I need
It's
something else to
draining.
watch.
It's draining.
Yeah.
It's draining. Like that's the thing too, where I will do that same thing where I'll be like, wow, that was really sad. I'm gonna watch another one, and then it'll be done. And like that GIF of Anthony Anderson when he's in black, just like crying on the couch. Doing this, I'll be like I did that after another one that like I don't think you'd be into, but like the very end of it, it's you know how like Sailor Moon is it's the magical girls. We'll still
What's
fight.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a different one called Madoka Magica where it was like you get to see how actually fucked that would be if that was in real life and you had to deal with the thing that was possibly making you go fight these. And like my redneck hick hunts every day, drinks beer, jacked up truck, like but likes anime, comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, so you're watching a lot more?" I'm like, "Yeah, COVID got me in the kick again." He's like, "You need to watch Madoka Magica." I'm like, "The one about the magical girl middle schoolers? That one?" He's like, "Oh, dude, it's some of the best writing you've ever seen. You'll love it." And I'm like, "I what?" And then had a 3-day weekend. I went, "Okay, I'll try it." I got 4 episodes in, and I went, "How did they write this well?" And it kept going and kept going, and I'd watch the entire 12 episodes in one shot and there is a evil entity that's in that show that is kind of like, no, if you do the right thing, kids, it'll be fine. I don't have ulterior motives. Just keep doing what you're doing. And you didn't make a deal to be a magical girl for screwed up fucking reasons. And I'm not. I've never wanted to kill a fictional character more in my entire life than the thing that is in that show. I've never had writing make me hate something more in my life. And when I got back to work the next day, I'm like, dude, I want to take that fucking whatever cat looking creature and beat it up against the fucking wall repeatedly. And he just goes, I knew you were gonna love the show.
And I also want to point out for anybody watching that anybody can like anime. So You
Oh,
know,
100%. 100%. Absolutely. It's just
so
not that I'm not saying I
so
don't like anime. I'm just not expecting recommendations sometimes from where I get them for certain
right. Well,
animes.
again,
It's weird.
don't judge books by their cover. Go in all
No.
forms, folks.
No.
Um,
Especially don't just look into the plot of some animes before you see the top of them. You'll be very surprised at what you get.
I was talking about just with people. Don't judge
Oh,
books by their
people as
cover with
well too.
people.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the main point of the
because
show also.
I know a lot of otakus and a lot of nerdy people that would see your friend and go, "He probably a big dumb Trump supporter. I want to talk to him."
Mhm.
If ironically, I gave them the redneck voice, which the stupid redneck voice.
Oh no, no, trust me, a lot of people would think the exact same way. And then you get to his house and you see all nothing but wall scrolls leading up around like, oh shit. And I'm like, no, you'd be shocked. Like,
Yeah,
especially since everything's gotten more centralized. It's almost harder to find someone who doesn't watch anime than someone
right.
that does. So, like, I'm happy for it, but yeah.
But that is it for this week. If you enjoyed us taking a look at various shows like that, let us know and we'll keep pumping this out and give us
Yeah,
suggestions of things we can look into if you
absolutely.
you know. And as always, like, share, subscribe for more content. Follow me on the social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeek89, Twitter X thing at athletic_geek89, and Instagram at athleticgeek89, if you
Yes.
please.
Yes, you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. If anyone watching this that's a gamer and you're interested, on October 3rd, the midnight release of Ghost of Yotei, a new PlayStation game that's coming out, I'll be doing a giveaway at midnight for that game. All you got to do is be watching the Twitch stream and be subscribed. $5 to win something that's worth 80, so it's pretty good deal. Anyone that likes
Great
conventions or
deal.
anything, yeah, exactly. Anyone who likes conventions and cosplay and stuff like that, you can look at my Instagram over at Organoid Zero. And for something much similar to what we're doing here, I do a show called Fresh Takes, where I take a show that I love and then take someone through it as their first time as watching it, and that gets uploaded at Organoid Zero with a YouTube channel with the same name.
So thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time.